It's great to see one of the Islamic banks in the UK, one of the leading banks in Asia Pacific, embodying these principles. And obviously from what you're describing, these principles have been approved by your shareholders, have been approved by management. There's a buy-in from everybody. So maybe we could just talk about the journey you went through to get to that position, so other people in the room can say, well, how do I go and speak to my shareholders about this? How do I engage with my board about this? How do I engage with my Sharia board about this? Because you need that buy-in at all levels.
So when we started the journey in 2016, there was absolutely no buy-in. The management felt that, look, why us? Why can't other banks do it? The board was quite agnostic at the beginning. The Sharia scholars felt that it's already been done, so we don't need to really look at beyond the Sharia compliance, because once we say it is Sharia compliant, then it's deemed as SDG proof. But what happened was the shareholders are the one. We had, we are a listed company, so we had more than 25% of our shareholding owned by large funds, particularly funds in Europe. They started asking about our ESG compliance. What is our SDG impacts? So that created the momentum. And we are also owned by a sovereign wealth fund. They also started asking, because they have something called true value cost, or true value methodology, that they will look at ROE plus minus the impact, whether negative or positive. So that gave us the momentum. And then the board bought in 2017. And then by 2018, we already had the policies, we have a dedicated team, and we are now working on the process. The process is quite tedious, because measuring impact, we have hundreds of subsectors. So if you take plantation as a segment, it probably has about 17 subsegments. From primary, the guy who's actually planting the palm oil tree, for example, all the way to the miller, all the way to the one who trade in the palm oil. So each segment has different basket of risks, and you need to have a proper methodology to assess the risk and then take the right measure to reduce the risk. So it is a long, tedious process. So what we have done, we could not possibly look at all the sectors. So we have chosen a few high-risk sectors, like primary agriculture, forestry, timber, forestry, chemicals and mining. So these are probably would lead to 60–70% of the negative impact in a developing country like Malaysia, and we're just focusing on that for the first 3 years.
What about from Gatehouse?
Yeah, from our perspective, it's been very similar. This was something that was driven very much by the executive team, but it was very much based on feedback from colleagues about what they wanted to see the bank becoming and being more responsible for. And it also echoes with what lots of our customers tell us about what they want from their bank. I think there's a growing demand from the customer ultimately that they don't just want good products and services, they want to know how the bank operates, they want transparency, they want to understand a lot more about the bank before they're willing to deposit their savings with us, take out home finance from us. I think there's a growing interest in how banks operate, and we see that as part of the reason why this is the right thing to do.
Yep. Not in our part of the world.
Yeah.
In Asia, I think it's not bottom-up driven. Customers are quite agnostic. I think it's more from the shareholders' perspective. Yeah, and we were quite fortunate because our former chairman, Dato Sri Nazir Razak, he was very much influential in setting the direction. I think he was a game changer who led the group to basically shift towards it. So it came from top down.